This is the NECA Ghostface. So here is the box for any of you in-box collectors. What it looks like on the side, or in the behind it, the side, the back, the other side is the same. This is the little backdrop inside the box. So first impressions, this figure feels like a hot toy. It just, or like a mezco. It's very soft. It has soft goods. The whole thing is essentially cloth. Well, almost the whole thing is cloth. It's kind of tight there. You can hear the squeaking maybe. It's pretty nice. I thought it would be limited in articulation, but it's not. And with that takes us to articulation and scale. So it does move up this much. There's no armpit joints, which makes sense. It has this kind of, feels like a double jointed elbow, but it's more like a ball joint. More like a ball joint. That gives us like a 1.5 weight crunch right there. Not that bad. The legs can kick up this far, and if you look under here, the leg, so we have a ball rocker here. It moves pretty far forward. This much it leans forward, leans back this much, not that much. The legs are on this little ball joint. It rotates. It has a really good spread. Look at that. My only minor issue with the articulation is that you can't get him into dynamic poses. I don't know why you would want him in dynamic poses. It's barely Ghostface. But this figure kind of lacks when you, because of the cloth, kind of brings it down in the leg articulation. Now it does get stuck sometimes. That's what happened right now. But when you try to raise up one leg, it just kind of raises up the cloth too. It just kind of ruins it a little bit. But who needs their Ghostface in a dynamic pose? So the knees are on this like single jointed knee kind of thing. It's not that bad, not that good. It's so. The hands though do have a joint, if you can see that right there. It's a little joint right there, similar to the Marvel Legends. The feet don't have they have foot articulation, but it's kind of really limited. It's like, because the pant kind of limits it. It does have an ankle rocker, which I do right there, but it's also once again limited by the pants. So scale, this figure stands at about, oh wait, holding it wrong side. This figure stands at around 7.25 inches, I want to say. Now, I don't have many figures on hand, so I'll just have to freestyle this like comparison. So, if I can get him out of the pose, here is the Yamaguchi Superman, which might be my next review. Then, if I can get the standoff, we have the NECA Armored Last Ronin. They scale pretty well. Now, if I can find one more figure, if I can go on over here, all I need to grab is this Goku, right? So we can scale him with the figure arts. I do have Marvel Legends, don't have him with me right now. So here he is next to the figure arts Goku. Doesn't scale that well. I mean, he'd have to be a really tall Goku, because they don't scale that well. I mean, it's alright. And just for funnies, a Mattel Man of Steel Superman. Pretty, kind of just towers him. Pretty funny. So, with that, we'll move on to paint and detail and accessories. Now, paint and detail, there's not much to go over here with just the mask. They indented, like, pretty much everything on this figure. Now we can get into more detail with the accessories. The legs, even all the way up, are detailed with this. They're textured, and the boots and everything, they're textured. It's nice. Now, accessories. Move this camera up a little bit, just for a little bit. So here we have the glow in the dark face, which I'm not gonna pop out. I'm just gonna leave it in there. We have the bloody face. Now, I have a story to tell about this bloody face. When trying to pull it out, naturally you try to like lift this up, and then you could just kind of lift it up from there. right? But this one, the mask kept coming off, which had to lead me to super glue it. But I didn't need to, because on its own, you could just kind of, it stays on good enough. Now, if we look at it, get a good look at this head. Let's try to get it focused in there. Hold on. Let's get that focused in. Okay, not this is gonna really get it. So, it's definitely, if we come on over here. So to pull the head off, you kind of have to move the hood back and then just kind of pop it off. So we're gonna move it back down to the side cam because I'm struggling a bit. So let's talk about the faces. So this bloody face, the bloody head is essentially the normal head, but just extra red paint on it. There's no visible difference except for the blood. They're essentially the same head, same sculpt. Now it changes when we head on over to this I don't know what to call it, dirtied up head, I guess. It's definitely, it's a different sculpt entirely. If we look at that, just from the nose itself, if we put that in light, it's different. The mouth is roughly the same, the head is too, the eyes, but if we get into it, it's very textured, and each little grain and crack is individually sculpted in, and even the mouth, if you can see that in the light, is sculpted differently with a rough pattern to it, something that the NECA didn't have to do, but they did anyway, because $35, I mean, you expect some pretty good detail in these figures, right? Now we got the glow-in-the-dark head. This glow-in-the-dark head is virtually, once again, a reused version of the normal head, but put in the light and it goes in the dark. I'm not sure if I can turn the light off, because I don't know how long. I don't think this has been in the dark long enough, but as a demonstration, no, I can't demonstrate it that way. I just tested off camera. We can't get in there. So let's put everything back in so I can move on to the others. So now we have the knives. These are each in the box sorted by scale, by the size. So we have right here, we have the basic Ghostface knife, some little blood splotch on the lower half, and blood on the top. And of course, the handle, while you might not be able to see it, is what's the word for it? It's textured. This blade is textured too. You can kind of see everything out. We have more blood again. Bigger version of the other knife, essentially. You know. Then we have, what is it, a butcher knife? I don't know. I'm kind of not that smart on that stuff. But there is blood on it, and there is extra details and stuff like the handle being different colors. That's nice. And now, if I can get this out, the little voice modulator, voice changer thing comes fully detailed. Each little button colored and sculpted. Comes in right there. Now, if I pop the head back on, now some of the alternate heads are kind of more tough to pop on than the original head. Don't know why. I think the peg is slightly different. But this hand is open this much for a reason. So you can just kind of, well, if the thing didn't fly away from me right now, then I would get it in easier. There it is. So we can have it like this. We just kind of squeeze it in. So I'm kind of messing this up right now. It's okay. The hand fell off, but it's okay. And there you go. You can just kind of put it in there, and there you go. That's to hold the voice modulator. You know, you can ask him, what's your favorite scary movie? You know? So, this guy does not come with these hands, with just these two hands. So this is also a holding hand. Could work as a fist, but not that passable. So, the worst part about this is that it's more meant to hold this boy, which we'll move on to in a second. So it can't hold the knives too well. I mean, it stays, but like it's kind of loose. It's a loose connection. So then the other hand, for this other side, she has this like more gripping hand, which is definitely for holding knives. Then for the other side, it's a more wide gripping hand. If you compare them, I want to say this one's more, I don't know, I can't tell the difference. It's just like, it's a different size. Sorry. And now for my biggest problem with this figure. The scythe. The scythe is amazing. It's got every little detail on the wood sculpted, all the little dirt and grime sculpted on this blade. But the one issue that I have with this figure, okay, well that just messed me up a little bit. There's some like plastic splotching or something right there. I'm not entirely sure what that is. Makes me mad even more. But here's why I'm never gonna pose with the scythe ever again. So you can already see right here that it's kinda, there's a smaller area. And if you're wondering why that's not there on this one, it's because it broke. When trying to take it out, it snapped off and stayed in his hand. The hand part was pretty easy to get in. To get out was the issue. Getting it out, snapped it because it's made of this really brittle, kind of like almost fake wood. So this right here is probably on its way to breaking too. This, me super figuring it, might end up being stronger than the actual original wood or the original material. So just be careful with the scythe if you get it. Now I did, just to make sure it wasn't a quality control issue, which is something very rare. NECA figures don't usually have quality control issues. I asked my friend who also had this figure, and he said the same thing. The scythe broke on the handles. Yes, it's a very brittle, very fragile scythe, but it does look pretty good once you get it in. Honestly, I would say just idea, like, my warning to you is be careful when handling the scythe. The scythe will probably break. I mean, I was handling this figure with force, but just definitely enough force so that it doesn't break anything. I don't know, man. I don't know how to feel on this. It just kind of ruined the fig for me because it just messed up now. Like, it looks weird, but if he's holding it, then there's no point, right? So, what are my final thoughts? Honestly, I like this figure. It's really good. It's a really good figure. And if you could, I recommend getting this figure, you know, having cleaning off the blade. Now, if there's one thing I recommend probably getting this figure, it's a really nice figure, really well detailed. And one last thing to add, the cloth that it's made of is made of the same cloth so that it looks just like it did in the movie. Can confirm, and does look like the same cloth that's used on things like the Halloween costumes. Whatever, I'm going off too far. Final thoughts, I think it's a good figure. I think that potentially, if you could, go for it. But don't go out of your way to spend more than retail. Don't go out of your way to spend more than $35. I think that's too much at that point. This guy should only be, you should only buy this guy if it's $30 to $5 or less. No more, no less. Make sure he has to be retail price. I will only recommend him if he's retail price. I wouldn't recommend going out of your way to try to get him, because then it might be a waste of money. I'm not sure. I recommend going for retail, which is not that hard to find. I'm extending this on too long. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. You don't have to. It just helps out. It just helps me, to get around on the platform. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Goodbye.